Yesterday, we discussed some of the numbers that make this an indisputable fact that there has been long-term, permanent damage to the Bud Light brand. I think everybody's kind of known this. Hell, we're 6 months into this stuff. I think it's fairly well understood, given the mimetic legacy that now Bud Light is going to have. You can't go anywhere in any vocation without finding something getting compared to Bud Light. Hell, even right now, you have politicians. I seen one headline in doing some research for this. Make sure to not vote for Bud Light Republicans in the upcoming cycle. It is everywhere, man. Whenever a company does something goofy, what's the first thing? What is one of the first, now very unwitty responses? I guess they're having their Bud Light moment. It's time to Bud Light that company. This is what has happened when you decided to play footsies with the woke crowd. Bud Light backlash. AB InBev reports 14% volume decline in the United States. Now, is that translating to the rest of the world? We took a look at some of the numbers a little while back, and yes, not quite at the same rate. Some places, some developing nations, probably where they don't have long-term sales data. Oh no, it's great. We're doing better in our new places where we went. And it's like, yeah, you have no comparison data, so of course it's going to look like you're doing good, because any new sale, well, you have nothing compared to. Okay, you don't have any legacy buys that are down there. But where Bud Light made its name, where Budweiser is a recognizable household name, where Anheuser Busch used to have the trust of a plurality of beer drinkers, now's not such the same situation that the company found itself at the beginning of the year. Hell, you can even take a look at stock prices. They still haven't even got up to the same level, and they peaked in February, mind you, right around Super Bowl time. And it's kind of fun to compare and contrast where, Anheuser-Busch stock, InBev, Anheuser-Busch, okay, that's the way that it trades. It ended up peaking right there on and around a little bit after, Super Bowl. They had their first commercial, the first one that was ever directed, and the marketing department was finally ran by a woman, Alyssa Heinerschneid. We know her legacy. Well, her very brief tenure. Hell, the only thing that was more fleeting was CM Punk's tenure with AEW. Hey guys, he's going to go back to the Fed and he's really going to light it up back there. I don't care at all whatsoever. I just seen that headline pop out today. But no, back focusing on beer because, Phil Straight Edge, and heaven forbid I'd want him to start beef with me or have him spurg out in anybody in arm's reach, or in his case, microphone reach. In this hand with my pipe. Okay, we got it, Phil. We got it. But no, okay, Bud Light is failing. So it's not like there's a lack of lushes that are out there. There's not a lack of desire for libations. So where are all these people going? Well, thankfully, there's more than a few fish in this well-intoxicated pond. One of those is Molson Coors. Coors Light and Miller Lite. We also talked about them somewhat recently. The name rings true a little bit, at least when it comes to recency. And Molson Coors, up marketing spend, by $100 million as it gains on Bud Light. CEO Gavin Hattersley claims Coors Light and Miller Lite, remember they're both under the same umbrella, together are now 50% larger than Bud Light since last year. They were always gaining. But Bud Light was also growing at the same time, so this idea that, eventually this was just going to happen at Bud Light, we had all these contingencies in place, okay? And like I was saying before, comparing the stock prices where they peaked this year in February compared to where they are right now and how much money Bud Light is spending trying to advertise with the NFL. Spoilers, the only thing the NFL cares about right now is Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. So if you can go ahead and slap a logo on Taylor Swift's jacket that they like to cut across to every 5 minutes, well, hey, 5 is probably being pretty generous every other play, and you might actually put some dollars to work. Molson Coors is upping its marketing investment by $100 million in the second half of 2023 as the Canadian-US multinational makes large gains on its competitors. Coors Light and Miller Lite combined were 50% bigger than Bud Light by total industry dollars and 30% bigger than Modelo Especial in the second quarter. Well, that's interesting. We'll put a pin in that for a second for Modelo, claims Molson Coors CEO Gavin Hattersley in a call with investors late last night. Yes, this was at the beginning of August. Molson Coors reported its strongest quarterly sales since the two companies merged back in 2005. We got records being broke Coke for the Molson Coors side. Whereas, well, hey man, Anheuser Busch is also breaking records by not having the best-selling beer in the past 22 years. One's a little bit better than the other. With net sales in the 3 months to June 30th, reaching $3.3 billion, a 12% increase year on year. So what do you do when you see those numbers? Hey man, just light that shit up. Go ahead and just add gas and see profits. I'd imagine that's more than likely what we're seeing right now as we head into the holiday season. And Coors, well, they were going to double down when it came to their marketing on, what were they doing? Because Miller, I think, was going after college football in some aspects, and Coors was doing the exact same thing. So yeah, well, Bud Light is out there pandering to, well, actually, to just draw this back to wrestling for a second, which is actually appropriate because Bud Light tried to market with, I think that was SummerSlam, right? So yeah, while Bud Light's spending all of their money with the middling returns that you'd get by sponsoring and working with the Fed, Molson, or rather Coors Light and Miller Lite, they're out there trolling the indies and working with AEW. Is it going to end up working? Well, we'll see in the long term, right? But the guy who's up there at the top, the one beer that ended up taking that crown away from Bud Light, and something that is, what, when you take a look at the total business portfolio of Molson Coors, might not be number one in totality, but the one beer that stands right atop of everything else as of right now, but it was an eventuality. This was eventually going to happen. No. Dylan Mulvaney facilitated this. It definitely added kerosene to that fire, or jet fuel. Definitely melted the steel beams of Bud Light's towering presence in the alcohol industry. I don't actually believe that stuff. Some of the reports also kind of lead us to believe that Bud Light was kind of taken down by an inside job, and what happened to Brewery 7? Why were there all those distributors across the bay in New Jersey just dancing and flicking their light? I don't know. The maker of Modelo Especial said the discount beer label is seeing remarkable growth following Anheuser Busch's disastrous tie-up with Dylan Mulvaney 6 months ago. Yep, half a year later, and here we are, and predicted that its momentum will continue. Exactly. You take a look at the marketing strategy. Now, I had to just go back in my memory banks in order to figure out what exactly is Molson Coors doing, but the one that comes to mind when it comes to tie-ups with Modelo is the UFC. Right there on the back of their fight banner, and during every press conference, with UFC, well, I guess it would also be, and goddamn, the Fed just pops up once again. It used to just be Endeavor behind them, but before that, it used to be Zufo way back in the cut, and then even before that, I forget the acronym that they used to trade under, but no, now it's going to be TKO, because that's the whole combined brand with WWE and UFC, but whatever. What else is up there? What's the third brand that's going to be up there? Well, that is 100% going to be Modelo Especial, so hey, take a look at that. You have a beer, you have a product, you know the consumer base, and you don't fuck around with it. It's really amazing what can happen when you just marry the two products. You have a good product, you put it in front of people, and then they end up buying it. It's not rocket science, people. The Mexican-made beer, which unseated Bud Light as the number one beer in the United States in August, gained more market share than any other beer brand in the United States over the summer, according to Circana, the label which wrapped up $3.9 billion in sales in 2021, making it the biggest imported brand in the United States. Well, given the temperature in the country for 2023, it's not the only biggest import from another country in the United States. Achieved double-digit growth in the latest quarter, said Bill Newlands, chief executive of Constellation Brands, which is the domestic distributor for Modelo. And who does the international? Oh, right, Anheuser Busch. That's why they don't care all that much. The Victor, New York-based company, which also brews Corona in Mexico and distributes it across the United States, said its beer sales grew 12%. That's Isn't that also the growth that Modelo? Yeah, 12% increase. That's very interesting. In the most recent quarter ending August 31st compared to a year ago, Constellation raised its fiscal year's earnings forecast to the high end of its previous guidance. Oh, wow. See, I would believe that update when it comes to forecasts, as opposed to Deutsche Bank continued to just sit and suckle at the teat of Anheuser Busch, telling you that, no, the stock is going to be fine. Meanwhile, it continues to scrape the bottom of the brewing barrel. Retailers are increasingly giving up shelf space, and that Anheuser Busch once commanded with its top brands, including Bud Light and Budweiser. Yep, but now Now, people are trying something new because the brand that they used to know, love, or in some cases tolerate because they just wanted to get smashed, wasn't really concerned about how well it tasted, but also wanted to watch their waistline, are now giving way to other brands, other domestic brands that are seeing market growth like Miller Lite, Coors Light, or if you're up in Canada, you can go ahead and have yourself a Molson Canadian. We still have Coors, like, regular Coors and all that other stuff as well, as far as I know. I don't go in liquor stores because I don't drink. Or they're deciding to take a walk on the wild side, They see all their new neighbors that are in the neighborhood just going, paso, what you drinking over there? And they look over and go, pero, and then they just see the little bottle that's in their hand, and they go, muchachos, maracas. And then they all just sit around and crack open a couple of Modelos. Meanwhile, those weird single cat ladies at the end of the street will just peer out their windows, and they'll just go to the blinds and just peek open a couple of the slats and sip their tall boy a Bud Light while one of their cat claw up what's left of their couch while they wait for reruns of Desperate Housewives of Des Moines, Iowa. I don't even know. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.